guys, and welcome to the pull list section of this week's Coffee and Hero show as I take you through everything that's on my pull list this week. It's quite a balanced week actually between DC, Marvel and Indie, and I also have a huge compendium for myself that I just could not resist, but I did make sure to order some for the store as well, so it's not one of those showing off posts, but it is an absolutely glorious compendium, and it is the Lock and Key compendium. Lock and Key, the TV show, I'll be honest, I've never been able to fully get into. And I think part of that is because I watched the first couple of episodes and the tone of it to me was very young adult, which I fully understand. You know, you want to approach it in a way where you appeal to as broad an audience as possible, to as many people as possible. But for me, if you read Lock and Key, it's very hard horror. It is very adult orientated. I would have preferred a much closer adaptation. But again, I fully understand why they went in the direction they did. I mean, Lock and Key is no less scary or over the top or violent than something like The Boys. But it is maybe done in a slightly more classical way, whereas The Boys is obviously very over the top and, you know, that kind of style. But anyway, Lock and Key was a case of 6 volumes in total. It was told over a total of about 10 years. And it comes from Joe Hill, who is, you know, as most people know, Stephen King's son, but, you know, does not need his father's reputation because his own reputation precedes him. It's drawn by Gabriel Rodriguez the whole way through as well, co-creator, and it is an absolute masterpiece. So this is the Key House Compendium, as it's called, which is the entire thing, and it is glorious. And then, to be honest, Lock and Key's due a reread. I collected it in single issues as it came out. I have it framed somewhere. The first issue we got signed by Joe Hill as well. We met him a few years back. And again, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, if you're going to read it, you don't always have to jump into compendiums or, you know, absolutes or omnibuses or that kind of thing. There are loads of ways to read it. Each volume is individual in trade paperback and also in hardcover. Then they also do these master editions, which puts 2 trade paperbacks together. But I just highly recommend reading it. It is a fantastic example of the comic genre. So I'll pull a couple out here and see what we got. So first up we have Deep Beyond. So this is the underwater set horror that I enjoy so much, written by Mirka Andolfo. I think this is fantastic. I try to push it every time a new issue comes out. We do have a couple of the early issues, pardon me, I'm pretty sure in terms of if you wanted to give it a go. But now that it's at issue 7, I would say trade paperbacks are not far away. So big fan of that one myself. Any week that has new Canto is a good week. So Canto 3 Landhearted, we're up to issue 2 of that. David M. Bower and Drew Zucker, of course. Next up we have Bunny Mask number 3. Now this is a horror title from Aftershock. This is written by Paul Tobin, art by Andrea Muti, who is the artist on Maniac of New York. And a really creepy, get under your skin kind of title list. I'm really enjoying Bunny Mask. I think it'll just be 5 issues in total. This is a contender for cover of the week. So we have Rorschach at number 11. That cover is outstanding. Just so many connotations to that idea. The idea of the doomsday clock in the background. Brilliant. I mean, this series in general has been fantastic and it has only gotten better as it's went on. Next up we have Wonder Woman 777. As always, I always go for the variants rather than the cover A's because I just think they're pretty great the whole way through. So I think this one is possibly Riccardo Federici, but I would have to double check that, but it is a beautiful cover nonetheless. Because I can't help myself, 3rd prints arrived this week for Nice House on the Lake, so no, this is not rips in the cover, this is a very intentional design. But again, we just keep getting the extra printings in because again, we cannot recommend this title enough and get on board it. It's only 3 issues in, it's going to be 10, it's only going to get bigger, and that's the 3rd print cover right there. Next up we have Justice League Last Rides. We're up to issue 4 of that. So this is the great series from Chip Zdarsky and Miguel Mendonça. And again, really enjoying Justice League Last Ride. It feels like very classic Justice League storytelling. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to be, you know, really clever with its mythology and stuff like that. It's just interested in telling a really good story about these characters. Joker number 6. So after Joker number 5, which is a little bit of a sideways gap to the story, although it was a brilliant issue, you know, you had I believe it was Matthew Rosenberg writing with James Tynion, but you also had on art Francesco Francavilla, I'm a huge fan of. But we're back to business here with James Tynion back on writing and Guillaume March on art. So loving Joker. There was the news this week that James Tynion's going to be stepping away around issue 14, Whether this means that, you know, they're going to stop doing the series or a new creative team's going to come on, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But with it only being at issue 6, that gives us a good another year of it at the very least. Also really high on my list at the moment is Infinite Frontier. This is issue 4 of 6, so this is Joshua Williamson. You have Paul Pelletier drawing in this one, as well as Jesus Marino and Zermanico as well. So great alternative DC stuff that. I mean, it's great there. You've got the, I mean, anything that has Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman has my attention. So looking forward to that. What have we got next? So with the start of the new series, I Am Batman. So this is from John Ridley and Travel Foreman. This is, of course, continuing on the Fox family legacy, the next Batman. A lot of the stuff that led up to Future State, essentially, is going to be kicking off here. So kicking off with a 0 issue, probably to get you caught up to date. And then it'll begin in earnest with an issue 1, which I believe is due in about 3 weeks. Challenge of the Super Sons has been a really fun series as well. Peter J. Tomasi knows the characters inside and out. Every issue is almost like a one-shot, pardon me, as they have to save a different member of the Justice League in each issue, but just loads of fun. And Peter J. Tomasi really understands the relationships between Jonathan Kent and Damian Wayne. Here's the issue creating all the kerfuffle this week. Batman Urban Legends number 6. So we're going to be finishing off the Red Hood story in this one with Batman. That's the Zdarsky story. We have some extra stories featuring Black Canary, Zealot. And the big one is featuring Tim Drake, which you can search out spoilers if you want. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that kind of guy. But even I couldn't avoid the spoilers before reading it because they are bloody everywhere. Batman the Animated Adventures continue. We're up season 2. We're up to issue 3 of this one. So the first 2 focused very heavily on the Court of Owls, which was great. This one looks to be focusing a bit more on Batgirl, Huntress, and then you see Batman, of course, there in the background. So, you know, Alan Burnett, Paul Dini, again, just invokes the spirit of the show so well. A bit of Marvel for you now. We have Spider-Man Spider's Shadow. So we're up to issue 5. This is the last issue, I believe. Chip Zdarsky, Pasquale Ferry, telling their alternative Spider-Man symbiote story. So I'll be really curious to see how that ends, because the story took a cool turn in issue 3 that I wasn't expecting and set it up in a different way. Obviously with issue 5 coming out, that being the end, I would imagine trades won't be far behind if you did miss out. Next up, we have Fantastic Four Life Story. So we're up to the 80s with this one. So it looks like we're doing, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know, maybe the space race. We're going to be focused on a lot of different things. And again, this is to celebrate the 60 years of the Fantastic Four. So really cool so far. Next up, we have The Defenders. 3 reasons this was picked up straight away. Well, 4 technically. So number 1, first of all, it's Al Ewing writing. It's Javier Rodriguez on art. And it features Silver Surfer. Alan's interested. What else have we got here? So I can set that down. So next up is Daredevil. So I feel like I keep mentioning Chip Zdarsky over and over again here. We had Spider-Man Spider's Shadow. We had the Batman Urban Legends. And then, of course, we have probably his best work at the moment, for me anyway, which is Daredevil. And I see Marco Cicchetto's back on art for this issue. He tends to share interior art duties with Mike Hawthorne, who does a more than great job. And their styles are relatively similar, so it's not jarring. But Cicchetto's art is fantastic, and that's who started the Daredevil run with Zdarsky. I'll put these 2 together simply because this one came out last week, but I wasn't sent enough copies by Diamond, so I had to wait for my copy. And then the other one is essentially the follow-up series to it. So it's Avengers Mech Strike, Jed McKay and Carlos Magno on that, so that was the last issue. And then this is a new one that launched this week, a brand new number 1, which is Avengers Tech on Avengers. Although it actually looks to be Jim Zub taking over that as opposed to Jed McKay. Next up, I hate you, Andy. I hate my variant collecting neurosis. I hate my OCD. But I love Shannon Meyer art. And this is the only way Vampirella makes it into my collection. I have not read a single page of Vampirella, but I cannot resist Shannon Meyer's variants. I think they're stunning, and they're not often just traditional cover Bs. They're usually store exclusives or that kind of thing. Next up, we have Silver Coin. So issue 5, this is the end of the first arc. It's weird calling it an arc because obviously every issue is a one-shot. But in this case, this is written and drawn by Michael Walsh, who's the series creator. So issue 5. Then we'll be taking a little bit of a break and coming back with a brand new issue 6. Next up, we have The Secret Land. This is issue 3. So this has been a pretty cool sort of World War II set spy story. We're in issue 3 of 4 of this, so enjoy that. Next up, we've got The Rise, which is by George C. Romero, and this is a direct sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Issue 1 was really hard to come by. Issue 2 was really hard to come by. These are the kind of titles that really do require pre-order. They're low print runs. They are maybe more specialist tastes in terms of what you enjoy. So that's always the kind of one that maybe needs a wee pre-order. For the last couple, we have Ordinary Gods, issue 2. So this was the new series that Kyle Higgins launched last month. I wasn't blown away by the first issue, I have to say. I chatted with Keith, for example, on the podcast. He really enjoyed it. He enjoyed it certainly more than me, got much more out of it. But I enjoyed it enough that I'll stick with it. You know, I probably sound like a broken record, but I always say give any series 2 issues. Issue 1 has a lot of heavy lifting to do, a lot of exposition to do, a lot of world building to do, a lot of characters to set up. But if it doesn't grab you by the end of issue 2, then it comes off the pull list. So you're on thin ice. We'll see how it goes. A couple more left. We have Maria Lovett's Porcelain. So again, this is a Blaze comic. So again, another small indie publisher. This was one we had on the board. Again, these are the kind of titles we try to showcase well in advance, just in case you're interested. But I do like Maria Lovett's style. She did a really cool series recently called Faithless with Brian Azzarello. And this looks to be more creator-owned with her writing and drawing. A series I loved issue 1 of was Fight Girls. This is the one by Frank Cho. Sabine Rich is doing colors. Mixture of The Running Man, Predator, Bitch Planet, which was a great Kelly Sue DeConnick Image title. Just a ton of fun. And then last but by certainly no means least, we have Eve, which is up to number 4 now. This is the Victor Laval end of the world story, in which it's a teenager that's the last person on Earth, a young teenager, not a well-equipped army man who can survive anything. So yeah, that is my pull list for this week. So by and large, all of these are still in stock in the store. Again, some of those smaller press titles may not be. We're very tight with the ordering of those because we obviously don't want to be left with stock that may not sell. It's why we put out YouTube videos for previews. We put out podcasts for previews. We have the previews board. We have the books in the store. And we'll always do our best to inform you guys because it can be a bit of a minefield to maybe try and get through. But we do need sort of pre-orders on those lower ones. I mean, when it comes to Image stuff, DC, Marvel, by and large, you'll get those straight away. There'll always be extras on the racks. We know those sort of things appeal to people. The only danger, of course, comes when you get a first appearance or you get a key event, so to speak, which brings in the dark side of the industry, which I don't need to go into now. But anyway, as I say, that's my pull list this week. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you're enjoying your reading this week. And as ever, anything you want added to pull lists or anything appeals to you, just get in touch with us. So hope you guys are staying safe out there. As always, I'll look forward to seeing you in the store and take it easy.